What is up, my butter biscuits? In today's video, we're going to be talking about the final part of the Shane, Dawson, and Jeffree Star series. This series, to me, low-key, if I'm just being honest with you guys, was a little bit of kind of like a letdown. I was expecting a little bit more. However, I just want to say, let me say that they dodged a bullet by not coming out with a Doomsday palette. Because can you guys like imagine? A lot of people out there really still don't understand that it takes like years to make a makeup, and they probably would have thought like they're making fun of the pandemic. You know what I'm saying? So I really do feel like they dodged a bullet that they did not come out with this collection, because I just feel like online people would have really ridiculed them. However, let me just say though, we are going to talk about the full palette within today's video, but I do kind of want to go in order of how the series was laid out and talk about other things that I wanted to talk about and then lead up to talking about the palette. If you guys watched my first part of this, I was like, oh my god, why am I actually liking this color story? Well, let me just tell you guys right off the jump, after seeing the full color story, I was like, no, it's really not giving at all. Like, I don't like it. And another thing is too, oh my god, I probably sound so stupid, but you guys have to understand, like, I have so many palettes and I really don't touch a lot of my palettes multiple times. I'll film like a couple videos with them and then they kind of sit there for a while. But I look really stupid when I was watching that video of their new part of their series, and they were saying that they repurposed the shades that were going to be in the Doomsday palette into other palettes, and specifically these two shades that I wanted to talk about, y'all. In the Bloodlust palette, I literally have that palette. There was the black, the matte black, but with like pink and silver shimmer to it, as well as that color that looked like the Scorpio liquid lipstick. They're in that palette, and I'm like, oh my god, y'all, I look so stupid because I literally said on video, I'm like, oh my god, I don't have a shade like that. And y'all, I just want you guys to know that a lot of my palettes really just sit there, honestly. Like, I'm probably gonna like reuse them, of course, too, like maybe in the future. But in my personal opinion, this is just an opinion, not fact, you know, I feel like eyeshadows are really good for a long time. Like, I have some eyeshadows that are like 15 years old that I'll still dip into from time to time. And y'all, they really haven't affected me. So I don't want you guys just thinking like, oh my god, you buy these palettes just to like sit around and waste. But it's like, really, when you're on YouTube, it's kind of like the hype of it is there, and then you do a couple videos with it, and then it just kind of sits there, and then you go on to the next one. Do you know what I'm saying? So I haven't really opened up that Bloodlust palette in such a long time to even realize that those shades are inside there. And then there's a few other shades that are in the like I forgot the name of his like money collection, the green one, Blood Money, I think it was called. They're just all throughout different palettes. So I just want to say overall, I do feel like, y'all, they really dodged a bullet with this one. But there are other things that we're going to talk about within this series. I really am curious and confused as to if Jeffree Star is really going to be leaving YouTube, because this was filmed in the past and he said that he wasn't going to be making any more videos, but he's uploaded several videos to YouTube since then. So I'm a little bit like, what's going on here? I also did see a lot of people online kind of bashing him, saying that like, oh, just no one likes you anymore and that's why your views are down. But I really do want to say I agree with him. I feel like the beauty space on YouTube is slowly dying out. Like just a couple years ago, like beauty YouTubers were getting millions of views, and that's not the case anymore. I feel like everything is really going towards like vlogging and like commentary and podcasting, you know what I mean, things like that. So I really do feel like he does have a point when it comes down to YouTube and the beauty space. I feel like people like more short form content for beauty specifically, but obviously can watch a longer vlog or a longer podcast. You know, people just don't really have that attention span anymore for like beauty videos, which I think sucks, because y'all know I'm on here like literally uploading like every single day talking about makeup just because I love makeup and I'm just always going to be a makeup enthusiast. I really do feel like that is just, I don't know, y'all, makeup really helped me out in a really tough position of my life, and it was my outlet, and I feel like it's always going to be my outlet, even though I don't do too many full looks anymore. Y'all know I still love to talk about makeup, so that's not going to change for me, even if I'm only getting a couple thousand views per video. That's fine with me, because I still genuinely love to do it. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to just be talking about several different things within this video. I guess this was the final part of the Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson series. I feel like this one was a little bit of a doozy. Like, it was a little bit like blah, you know what I mean? But I guess it was entertaining for a little bit, you know what I mean? Anyways, y'all, so we're going to be talking about that within today's video. If you guys are interested, of course, go ahead and keep on watching. Make sure you guys click the link in the description box down below to head over to my second channel. Speaking of vlogging and stuff like that, me and my brother have several new videos coming up, and I'm super excited. We're going to Universal Studios, we're going to Vegas, we are going on our first cruise in December. I'm also going back to Phoenix in a couple weeks. So like, we just have a whole lot of content coming up on there. I upload new videos every single Sunday there. So make sure you guys click that link and subscribe down below. I would really appreciate the support, and make sure you guys give this video a big thumbs up as well too. And let's go ahead and get into it. The first thing that I want to talk about within this video, because it was something that was like really always on my mind, because y'all know I'm a little bit nosy. Well, not a little bit, let me just keep it real. I'm like super nosy, okay? I'm like one of those neighbors that just be peeping out the window, you know what I'm saying? That's just me. I'm sorry. My mom raised me that way. She's the same exact way. And I'm just curious to know what goes on behind the scenes. You know what I mean? And I feel like everybody is, just not everybody is willing to admit it. Do you know what I'm saying? Because when Maddie stopped being his assistant, Jeffree Star's assistant, I was really curious because of the timing of everything. I was like, oh, because Jeffree Star is just getting so much scrutiny and so much hate online that she was like, I'm jumping ship because I'm not getting this hate as well too. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, that's what I thought it was, because I have to put myself in her shoes. I was like, you know what, can you imagine like if your best friend is just getting so much hate? Like honestly, I'm the type of friend that I'm gonna sit there and take it, you know what I mean? But it would be really hard too, because you're guilty by association, and because Jeffree Star had just had so much negativity going at him, that obviously had to be hard on her mental health as well too. So I thought she was stepping away because of that, but within this actual final part of the series, she did open up and say why she left. So I'm gonna go ahead and play a small clip from the final part of the series so that way you guys can hear from her mouth to hear what she had to say about it herself.
And I don't want to pretend like I don't know anything, right?
Right.
Obviously I know, but yeah. I think a lot of people think that you guys had some big falling out, some big fight. Without saying everything, you just needed time away.
Yeah, and it just, the timing happened to not be the best timing. I felt bad leaving in the middle of it, but I also like, I couldn't even look out for myself, so I had to like make a choice. But no, nothing ever happened with him directly. Like, I trust him with my life. I think he would say the same. Like, it was never that. It was some personal family shit, and I had to choose me and my family first. It was just like, I think the timing kind of threw people off a little bit, but also I didn't feel like I owed anybody an explanation, you know? So.
As y'all can see from right there, she obviously left for other reasons, stating stuff with family. Also, I still do think, no matter what she says, and just like she said within that video too, she said that she feels like she doesn't owe an explanation to anybody. She really doesn't. But I still do feel like there was a small part of it that was probably really hard on her, because y'all, people just go ham. Like, I feel like this day and age, people just don't know when to stop. And say, for example, if I was friends with a public figure and that public figure did something wrong, everyone's gonna start flooding me with comments and flooding me with hate. And it's like, oh my gosh, like, did I do that or did that person do that? You know what I'm saying? I feel like this whole mentality of the newer generation, you guys know I'm saying it all the time, it's just everyone's holier than thou. People just can't deal with people making mistakes or like messing up and saying the wrong thing. They just really can't move forward from that, and they really just bash anybody around them, y'all. Even me purchasing like the conspiracy palette and doing a review of it, and even recently just doing the banana fetish review, like people still were even bashing me. I'm like, oh my god, y'all, I'm not the type of person that I'm gonna sit here and hate somebody for the rest of my life. Like, I'm going to like move on. If I see change within their behavior, I'm gonna move on and continue on. Do you know what I mean? I feel like if you buy somebody's palette, it doesn't mean that you're condoning everything that they do. And that's the whole like internet mentality, I feel like, of people. But I digress, y'all. You guys know how I feel about that. Anyways, let's go ahead and move into the actual like Doomsday logo. Okay, now I want to say personally, I feel like this whole theme could have been really cool, especially when he put up that like photoshopped image of him holding Jeffree Star in the hazmat suit. I really think that this concept could have been really, really cool. Yes, I know to a lot of people out there after a pandemic, obviously it could be very insensitive, and that's why I say I feel like they dodged a bullet by not coming out with this. However, before that though, like think of just all the movies that we have out there that are really like Doomsday. And y'all, let's keep it real, we're all intrigued by them. Like, say for example, that movie, what is it called, like 2012? I don't know why from time to time I just watch that movie over again, and like The Day After Tomorrow, I think it's such a trip to see what the earth can do, whether it be in like a like plague type of way or a natural disaster type of way. Like, I'm just tripped out by it. Do you know what I mean? So therefore it draws me in. So I feel like this concept really could have been cool. It could have been unique. Obviously it would have been very controversial because a lot of people are sensitive to certain things when it comes to, you know, involving this. But I think the whole like pig mirror logo and everything like that with the gas mask on, I personally feel like it's really cute. Like, I think it's cool, and honestly I'm just a Halloween type of person, so it was really giving me Halloween vibes. I think that if they would have came out with a Doomsday collection around Halloween, I feel like that would have been appropriate, because obviously that's what Halloween is. And didn't like American Horror Story come out with like a Doomsday like season? I stopped watching American Horror Story so long ago. I just feel like they just, I don't know, I feel like they're like reaching these days, and I feel like they came out with one, but I don't really remember. But nonetheless, I do feel like it is cute. I feel like the logo is kind of like whatever it really is, plain. But moving on, y'all, these are the shades that I wanted to talk about right here. Is the purple shade that he literally put up in the video that they're swatched, and I'm like, oh my god, not only did I do a my thoughts and opinions video about this, I bought the palette, I did a review of the palette, and I did 2 different looks with the palette, and it just didn't click in my head that those shades are in that palette, y'all. But you guys have to imagine, imagine, like, I literally have over 100 palettes. So, like, I'm not going to remember every single shade. But when I saw that, I was like, people are going to think I'm so stupid. But it's like, y'all have way too many palettes. I've been on YouTube for like 7 years. And I literally, like, collect palettes. Do you know what I mean? So there's just, like, way too much. Y'all, when he revealed this palette, it kind of tripped me out because if you guys remember within my first video when I had made this comment about the first row that he had made, I was like, okay, that's a beautiful like row right there. And I was like, low-key, I'm not trying to be rude, but I just don't feel like Shane Dawson has it in him. I feel like this just sounds rude, but I just feel like he doesn't have that like, you know, style or that, like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like he doesn't have it in him to make like a really good color story, because you guys know, and I still stand by this till this day, yes, I did buy the Conspiracy palette, yes, I did do a review of it, but obviously the hype was like real about that, you know what I'm saying? Like, everyone was dying to get their hands on that palette, even though, let's keep it real, the color story is a little bit tacky, and I've said that time and time again, and I still stand by it. So that's why when I saw bits and pieces of this palette, this Doomsday palette coming together, I was like, oh my god, like, that actually looks kind of cute. This color story looks way better than the Conspiracy palette. But then seeing this as a whole right here, I'm just kind of like, I don't know, maybe if the colors were laid out a little bit differently, like I would have to sit there and like switch the shades around to like maybe make them make sense in a 6-pan type of way, being that they are having 3 rows of 8 shades. Like, I would set it out in 6s to see like, okay, these are the color stories that are going together in that row. Do you know what I mean? Maybe then it would have made a little bit more sense, but the way that it is laid out, I don't know. It's really not giving to me. I feel like it really is, I don't know. I don't like it. Like, honestly, y'all, I probably would have purchased this palette, of course, just keeping it real with you guys, to obviously do a review of it. But that's my job here on YouTube, is to do stuff like this. But I don't know. Looking at this palette, I'm like, it's not something that I would be reaching for all the time. I will say that the top row does look very beautiful, but it is just a standard neutral row. I also want to say, when he revealed the colors where they were sitting on the rocks and talking about everything, I was kind of like, okay, like, it looks like horrible. Like, if I'm being honest with you guys, when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's ugly. But then as soon as he inserted the clip right here that I'll play for you guys can see underneath more natural lighting, then you guys can see, or not natural lighting, but indoor lighting, you guys could see the colors a little bit better. I feel like, obviously, being out there in the bright sun, it really did wash out those colors. Because y'all, when I first saw that, I was like, thank God y'all didn't come out with that palette, because I just feel like it is just so And you guys can also see from this picture right here, the color story does look a little bit better too. But I don't know. I just don't feel like it needs to be 3 rows of 8. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like this could have very easily been like, just, I don't know, maybe 12 pans, maybe 18 pans the most. It didn't really need to be that much. But honestly, y'all, I do want to say, just to wrap it up, obviously there's really not too much to talk about, being that Jeffree Star is saying that he's leaving YouTube. They are announced officially that they're not going to be coming out with this collection, and Jeffree Star did repurpose these shades into other palettes. So obviously this is a done deal. It's a wrap, and they fully revealed it. I honestly did think at first that they were going to be coming out with a second collection, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, and I've said this before, and I've never quite understood why people call it a cash grab. They always said like, oh, Shane Dawson's not in the makeup world, so this is just a cash grab. But I'm like, y'all really think about it. How many other like influencers out there, regular influencers, do makeup collaborations? How many celebrities do makeup collaborations? Like, y'all just go through the listing of all of the collections that MAC has came out with a celebrity that are just not in the makeup world. Do you know what I mean? Or like, you know, several people even coming out with beauty lines. Say, for example, like Alicia Keys, like, she's so anti-makeup, and then now she's coming out with makeup products. Like, do you know what I mean? At first it was like skincare, but now it's like makeup products. Do you know what I mean? So now I'm just kind of like, and what about that? Like, I feel like this is just what you do. A lot of people come out with different types of collaborations, like, no matter what it is, you know? Like, I don't know, say for example, like, I remember when I was a kid, there was like Barney toothbrushes, and like, I don't know, just Dora the Explorer toothbrushes, and it's like, okay, is Dora the Explorer a dentist? Does she have to be a dentist to come out with a toothbrush? Do you know what I mean? It's just kind of things like that. So I never really understood how people would go in on like, this is a cash grab, and I'm like, okay, it's literally just a collaboration. So in my personal opinion, I actually would have liked them to come out with a second collection, only because I really did get like excited about it, and I love the whole docu-series behind it, just because that was like my dream, y'all. You guys have to understand, ever since I got into makeup, I literally immediately started dreaming of coming out with my own makeup. So to actually be able to see the whole behind the scenes and see in the lab and see with the chemists and everything like that, formulating all of this stuff, it really got me excited, which really enticed me to purchase the product. Just like I said, even with this palette, like, the color story is just, honestly, y'all, if I had to rate that color story out of a scale of 1 to 10, I would put it at like a 4. Like, it's not really giving. Do you know what I mean? But I still would have purchased it, obviously, because of the excitement of like watching the series, and obviously to do a YouTube review. You know what I'm saying? But I guess that is the end of the road for them right there. I honestly feel like because that collection was so big, and Jeffree Star does use the term the biggest makeup launch in history, which, like I've said time and time again, when James Charles gets out here and he says that his palette was like the most highest sold palette ever, I'm like, where's the numbers for these things? I want to see the proof, because I feel like so many people say this, but then there's like not proof. Anyways, nonetheless, them saying that it is like the biggest makeup launch in history, and I've said it myself, like, y'all, going around to the local malls that had Morphe stores in it, like seeing just how wrapped around the mall the lines were for this palette, I do know that it was a very successful launch. I feel like it deserved a second part, maybe a smaller second part, do you know what I mean? And maybe a little bit more of a well thought out second part, like a really good color story. And I feel kind of bad saying that, because you could tell that Shane Dawson was like really excited for this color story, but it's just not really given. I do think it is better than the Conspiracy palette though. Like honestly, like as far as color story wise, the color story of the Conspiracy palette, I'm just like, it's just all over the place. But anyways, that is it for, I guess, my thoughts and opinions about this series. That was like really short, and low-key it was kind of boring, if I'm being honest. I don't know, I was expecting a little bit more, but this whole big like build up of like Jeffree Star leaving YouTube, that was like the main focus, I guess, of it. But it was still cool to see a little bit of the behind the scenes about this Doomsday collection. But y'all, let's just say fortunately that they did not come out with this, because can you imagine the ridicule that they would have got online if they would have came out with this during a pandemic? People would have literally think that they were like mocking the pandemic. I just feel it, even though clearly they were starting this way before, you know. Anyways, that is it for this video, so make sure you guys let me know your thoughts and opinions about everything, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Peace out, Girl Scout.